Hey sports fans, it's Pete here for another NFL Top Stacks video. It's week 10 of the NFL season. Let's get into it. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome into another video. Hopefully you're having a wonderful weekend. You're tuned in for some information on this weekend slate. Hopefully I can point you in the right direction with my research here on runthesims.com and also talk about my top stacks. We're going to get into the top stacks in a bit, but first we're going to look at the slate itself this weekend. We have the games with the highest point total. The Falcons, Cowboys 54.5, the Vikings and the Chargers 53.5, the Tampa Bay and Washington football team 51. And also the Seahawks and the Packers at a 49.5 point total. Games this week that are quite sneaky that could go over the total is this Pittsburgh-Detroit game. We just got news there recently that Ben Roethlisberger is on the COVID-19 list, so he will not play in this game. But he has been holding back the Pittsburgh offense quite a bit so far this season. So maybe with Mason Rudolph going up against the second worst defense in the league, he could have some success. So this could be a sneaky game to hit the over. Another game, sneaky game that could hit the over is this Saints and Titans game. But overall, I'd like to look at the slate. 11 games this week on DraftKings. Looking at the projected ownership here, we have Dearness Johnson, who is $4,700 on DraftKings, projected to be 33% owned. Devontae Adams, Jarvis Landry, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott. So looking at points per dollar, we can see the salary savers this week. We have Dearness Johnson, like I said, he's the optimal rate of 32%, which is the highest I've seen all season. He's a smash play, to be honest. You should be locking him into all your lineups. If you're making 150 lineups, I would suggest you could lock him in because he's going to have a massive game, I do believe, against this Patriots run defense, which is not the greatest. Dearness Johnson, when he started his only game so far this season, I think it was on Thursday Night Football, he ran for over 140 yards and a touchdown, so he's in a very good position. I know he's very chalky, but he is good chalk this weekend according to the Sims, in optimal rate of 32%, which is double. I believe it's double the rest of the field. Yeah, nearly double the rest of the field. Najee Harris 17%, Taylor 17%, and Devontae Adams. Points per dollar, like I said, so we have three salary savers this week at running back. We have Dearness Johnson, Brandon Bolden, who is coming very low owned, so he is definitely a pivot play off of Dearness Johnson, and also Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram projected to be only 1% as well, but I presume that's going to be much higher closer to the slate start. So we have these three running backs, Dearness Johnson, Bolden, and Mark Ingram, who are very good salary savers this weekend. Looking at the optimal leverage, those low owned plays, have a look here. Brandon Bolden, as I said, 2%, Mark Ingram 1%. These guys could be a lot higher owned near the game, especially if there's news about the Patriots running back situation, because Harris is out, I think, but Stevenson may also be out. He's questionable, so keep an eye on the Patriots backfield, any actives, etc. Before the games kick off. So Bolden is a very good play. Evans here at only 7% ownership. He's appearing a high optimal leverage rate and high optimal rate as well. So Mike Evans looks to be a very good GPP play this weekend. Looking at boom rate here, we have Dearness Johnson, Josh Allen. So these are players have the highest chance to have a breakout ceiling game. Players who have a high bust rate is it's all the backups. Basically, you don't really need to read too much into this. Players who have the lowest bust rate is Dearness Johnson as well. So he's the highest boom rate and the highest bust rate. So he really is a player this week who is a must play. Yes, he is chalky, but I think you have to play him. You have to get over the field as well. Maybe have 50 to 100% of him this weekend in your lineups. Josh Allen here has the lowest bust rate as a quarterback. Jalen Hurts here, basically the guys are rushing upside. Brandon Bolden here, Teddy Bridgewater, and Dak Prescott. What we're going to do is we're just going to run the simulations for the slate itself. We have the optimal rate here, but we'll just update it to see if there's been any changes to it. Let's go DraftKings Classic Main reset. We just run the sims as is. Maybe there's been an update since those last last simulation run. So we have Dearness Johnson 32.5%, appearing way higher than anyone else. Now there's a bit of an update here. Jonathan Taylor's now appearing 21.4%, so he's had a little jump here. I think he was 17%, so he's jumped 4% there. Aaron Jones, Mike Evans, as I said, Mike Evans' 7% ownership is a very good play this weekend. Brandon Bolden, another one of those salary savers at running back. So that is the optimal, leverage plays, or the optimal rates for this weekend slate. So let's get into my top stacks now. So we're on DraftKings here, and we're going to look at my top 5 stacks now for this weekend slate. So coming in at number 5, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Washington football team, the game that has the third highest point total on the whole slate. Of course, at quarterback for the Buccaneers, for the reigning Super Bowl champions, it is Tom Brady. Fournette, of course, you can include in your stacks because he can catch passes out of the backfield. We have Bernard also can catch passes, but probably wouldn't focus on him too much. Godwin should play this weekend. He is questionable. Evans, of course, run the Sims did love him. They have him as one of the top leverage plays this weekend. Tyler Johnson at 3,300 is very cheap. At tight end, then you have Howard and Braid. I'd probably lean Braid. He seems to see more of the red zone targets. He has a very low A.DOT though, so maybe I don't include him in that many of my stacks, but you can mix and match every combination of these guys. Of course, in your stack you can run a bring back, you can run one player on the other side of the game. You can run it as a 3-0 stack or a 2-0 stack if you want, if you think Washington can't put up enough points or if they can't keep the game close. You can run a 2-0 stack or a 3-0 stack. I'm going to go with a 3-1 stack. So I'm going to go with, let's see, Fournette. I do like this weekend, but I do think this game could be a better game through the air. So thinking Godwin, Evans, Johnson, a mix and match of these three guys. I'm probably going to go with Evans because he's the leverage play of the week, and Johnson is quite low owned and low salary, so we're salary saver here at wide receiver. We have Brady, Evans, Johnson the other side of the game. Then we have options. Then we have Gibson at running back, we have McLaurin, we have Humphreys at tight end, we have Ricky Seals-Jones. We can mix match any of those three main guys. I like Seals-Jones, I like McLaurin, I like Gibson. Gibson has a tough matchup this weekend versus this Tampa Bay run D, so probably I'd go lean more so on the wide receiver side of things. We'll go with a Terry McLaurin here, Scary Terry, or an F1 or whatever nickname you want to use for Terry McLaurin. So that's a very good stack this weekend. It's Brady, Johnson, Evans with a bring back of McLaurin, so you're focusing on the wide receivers in this game. I do like this stack. It is my number 5 stack this week. Okay guys, coming in at number 4, we have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Dallas Cowboys, a game that has the highest implied total this weekend. I do like the Falcons side of this game. I also do like the Cowboys side of this game, but I do think the Falcons side of the game will go a little lower owned. I think the Falcons are good for their 23 points implied total. I think they hit the over there, so this game should be a shootout. It could be 60 plus points in this game, which could be quite an exciting game to watch and also have lineups for. So Matt Ryan as the quarterback, 6,000 isn't too bad on DraftKings here. Patterson's been having an incredible season. I believe he has hit double digit fantasy points every week bar week 1, where he wasn't really part of the offense then. So he's been having an incredible run last week. Didn't get there in the run game or the week before, but receiving wise last week, 6 targets, 6 catches, 126 yards. Quite an incredible run for Patterson. I really like him this weekend. Davis probably I wouldn't include in your lineups. You could run him back on the other side of the game for Dallas in your Dallas stacks, but I probably wouldn't include him in your Falcon stacks. Ridley's out, so we have Gage here, 5,000. Zacchaeus had 2 touchdowns last weekend. A pretty good game for him, probably a career game. 4,400 is good value. At tight end, you have Pitts and Hurst. You can run both of these if you want. Max 1, of course, in your lineups. I'd go with Pitts for this one. The offense mainly goes through Patterson and Pitts, though, so I probably would focus on those two guys. So you can mix in Zacchaeus and Gage as well, of course, but I'd probably just focus on the two guys that the offense runs through. The other side of the game, then we have the Cowboys. You have options here. You could go with Elliott. You go with Elliott, though, you already have another running back in the game, so it's not ideal. Ideally, you don't want to run 2 running backs in your stacks, so probably go with a pass catching wide receiver or tight end. You could go with Schultz here. You already have a tight end again, so you probably wouldn't run 2 tight ends. You focus on the wide receivers. If Gallup does get the start over Wilson, he'll be quite interesting here at only $4,000. Keep an eye on that. I'm probably going to run whichever guy is going to be lower owned of these two, Lamb and Cooper. Let's just have a look at the ownership here. For the game, we see here Lamb is lower owned than Cooper, so we're probably going to go with Lamb. If Gallup does get the start, though, I probably will play him at 4,000. It's quite good value. So this is quite an obvious stack this weekend. It's my number 4 stack of the week. It's Patterson, Pitts, and Lamb as the bring back. You need to get different elsewhere with your lineup, though. You can't just plug in Dearness Johnson and Mark Ingram, the 2 salary savers this weekend. You need to get different. Maybe play some lower owned running backs and focus on some non-chalky defense as well, just to get different. So that's my number 4 stack of the week. Okay guys, coming in at number 3 we have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Atlanta Falcons. The other side of this game with the highest point total, we have the Falcons with a 31.5 implied total. Maybe it's a little too high for the Cowboys, maybe it's more of a 30 or 30.5 game for them. Maybe it's the under on this side of the game. I do think this game will be very high scoring though, so probably will need to have more Cowboy stacks than Falcon stacks because they have a higher implied total. I do think though, you know, you want to be careful with the players you mix and match in your Cowboy stacks, because if you run a Prescott, Elliott, and let's say a Amari Cooper here, it's going to be quite chalky here. We have 14.9, 17.5, and 16.8. Then maybe if you run it back on the other side with Patterson, who's 13.8% owned, like that's a very chalky stack, so maybe you want to be careful on this side of the game. The other side of the game is okay, I think, because we lower owned. So just going to talk about guys you want to include in your stacks. So you have Elliott, of course, Pollard you can run, Lamb, Cooper, Gallup if he does get to start over Wilson, and then Schultz at tight end. So you can mix match these guys. Looking at the ownership here, it's Gallup and Schultz who are the low owned plays. Pollard probably wouldn't include in your stacks given that he's not the starter. Elliott's the starter here. Pollard is more of a guy for playing showdown. You have Lamb, Cooper, Gallup, Schultz, and Elliott. For this stack, I'm not going to go with Elliott because he's a little chalky. He's the highest owned player here, so I'm going to go with one of or two of these guys here. I like Schultz at 2% ownership versus the Falcons, who haven't done too well versus tight ends this season. Of course, I like Gallup as well if he does get the start. For this stack, I'm going to go with Lamb and Schultz as my two main guys. The other side of the game, then we have options. We have Patterson, we have Gage, Zacchaeus, and also Pitts here. Probably going to go with Patterson, given that we have tight end already here, so we don't want to run double tight ends. We're going to go with Patterson. So it's a decent stack there. We have Prescott, Schultz, Lamb. Schultz is quite low owned, and with Patterson as our bring back. So that's my number 3 stack of the week. Okay, sports fans, number 2 stack of the week, it is the Chargers versus the Vikings in a game that has quite a high implied total. I believe the second highest on the slate. We have Herbert here at 13.6% ownership as the quarterback. I don't really bother looking at ownership for quarterbacks because if you're making stacks, you're going to have a combined lower ownership. Eckler here at running back for the Chargers. We have Keenan Allen, who is questionable for the game. Let's see. I expect him to suit up, so he should be good to go. Williams, of course, here as well. Guyton, Palmer, probably wouldn't include any of those guys in their stacks. Tight end then, it's quite interesting because any one of these 3 guys can score. Parham, Anderson have been scoring touchdowns lately, but Cook is the main guy to focus on. So these are the guys you want to focus in on with your Charger stacks. I'm looking at ownership. I like Williams and Cook here, the lower owned of the guys on this roster. Minnesota on the other side aren't very good versus the run or the pass. Their defense has been giving up a lot of yards. So I think Keenan Allen a little banged up this week. Maybe I'll lean more at Williams, a lower ownership, and Cook here as well, lower ownership. Thing is with tight end though, like I said, any one of these guys can score, so probably going to go with Eckler, Williams in my main stacks this weekend in this game. Other side of the game then, you have Cook, you have Jefferson, you have Thielen, you have Conklin as well. Regards to receivers here, the Chargers have one of the best pass defenses in the league, so maybe I wouldn't lean much on the receivers. Maybe the tight end or the running back. Probably going to go with Cook as my main bring back here in this game. So we have Herbert, Eckler, Cook, and Williams. It's probably one of the few games where you can run double running back. I know it's not ideal with your stacks, but this is one of the few games where you can run double running back. Probably you could go with the Conklin here as well. I do like Conklin, 3,400. So probably for this one, given that you don't usually want to run 2 running backs in your stack, I'll probably go with Conklin, but of course you can run Cook. It is probably one of the few occasions where you can run double running back. So that's my number 2 stack of the week. Okay guys, coming in at number 1 this weekend, it is the Colts versus the Jags as my top stack. Colts have an implied total of 29 points. I do think they hit over regards to the 29 points versus the Jags. You can run this as a 2-0 or 3-0 stack if you want, if you don't like the Jags side of the game. But I do think you will need to include some of the Jags in your stack. So Wentz, of course, is good value at 5,900. You have Taylor and Hines, both can catch passes out of the backfield. You have Pittman, who's having an incredible season. Hilton, Pascal, Mo Ali Cox, and also Jack Dial here as well. You have so many options to choose from here with this stack. Taylor and Pittman are probably going to be the most higher owned players. So if you run a Wentz, Taylor, Pittman stack, going to have a higher chance of being duplicated and get different elsewhere. But I'm going to go with max one of the tight ends, max one of the running backs. So I'd go with Cox over Dial if it was making only a few lineups. I'd probably go with Taylor over Hines if it was making a few lineups. Hines is a very good showdown play though. If you want to play some showdown in this game, Hines I would use. Taylor, Pittman, Hilton, Pascal and Cox. So you have 3 guys here at sub 2% ownership. You probably don't want to play 2 of those guys. You want to go max one of these guys with Pittman or Taylor. Probably going to go with Pittman this weekend versus the Jags pass defense, which is quite poor. And then one of these guys, so Hilton, Pascal, Cox. I'm probably going to go with Mo Ali Cox in this stack. Really do like him this week versus the Jags, who are poor versus tight ends. Other side of the game, you have options. You have James Robinson, who may not play. You have Carlos Hyde if he gets to start. You have Marvin Jones, Chenault, Agnew, who's been coming on in recent times. Also Dan Arnold here at tight end. Given we already have a tight end, probably don't want to play double tight end, so we'll go with a receiver or a running back. If Hyde does get the start, he is definitely in play this weekend. I think Robinson will play though. Marvin Jones is probably the guy you want to use in your stacks. He has, he's the best guy to go to in the red zone. He has the highest chance of scoring touchdowns if to get down around the red zone or the goal line. So Pittman, Jones and Mo Ali Cox with Wentz is a very good stack this weekend. Of course, this isn't the stack that I will go with. I will mix and match a lot of these different players. This is just probably the one that I think will do the best this weekend. So that's my number 1 stack. So sports fans, that's it for me for another week. Best of luck to you all on this weekend slate. If you did like the video, please hit the like button. If you've yet to subscribe, please do. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell. And if you have any questions whatsoever, hit me up in the comment section down below. So before I go, I just want to say runthesims.com is now available at a reduced price because we're halfway through the season. You can now get the full NFL season pass for $199, which is $100 cheaper than the original price. You can also use code HateSportsFans for 10% off at checkout. So that's it for me. Best luck to you all. Hopefully you see all your names on top of the leaderboard.